So I'll be the first one to say that I was actually one of those people that was quite optimistic about the Marvels. Yeah, you heard me correctly. In a year where Shazam 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, The Flash, and Aquaman would all be coming out, I believe that the Marvels had the most potential out of all of them. Seriously. I've even said numerous times on this channel that I believe that the Marvels could do well as long as they got the marketing right, and honestly, I think they were off to a fair start. But getting the marketing right wasn't just going to be limited to trailers, promo material, and the rumor mill. It would actually also include one very specific show, and that show is Secret Invasion. If you don't know, Secret Invasion is supposed to be a direct tie-in to the Marvels, very similar to how Ms. Marvel's final scene is also a direct tie-in to the Marvels. And that's kind of the problem. Secret Invasion isn't proving to be very good marketing for the film. It's not to say that Secret Invasion is bad, it isn't, but it's certainly not helping things either. And since it's supposed to have close ties, I could actually see this working against the Marvels, which is not exactly something that Disney or the MCU want or need, especially for a show that many were initially excited about, including me. But then it got me thinking. There's been a lot of factors working against Secret Invasion for some months now, and when you start to think about it, it actually becomes quite clear why Secret Invasion isn't grabbing the audience as they might have hoped. Allow me to lead off with this. Secret Invasion was always going to turn off a group of fans to begin with simply because it's not actually Secret Invasion. Marvel's Secret Invasion is not just a long-standing incredible storyline, it's chock full of different heroes, specifically Avengers. But in the MCU version, we get none of that outside of Rhodey in a brief appearance, and if you've watched the show, they don't even do that part that well. But you know something that would have brought instant viewership? Having the Illuminati be a part of it, like they are in the comics. I mean, are they not available? Right. Well, what about the Fantastic Four? That's right, they're not in the MCU yet, and really aren't close to being in it either. But what about the Thunderbolts? All their members are in the MCU, right? Surely that would work.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Ah, that's right, they haven't formed yet. Well, who do we have left? Oh, Daredevil, he's in the MCU, right? Surely he can be a part of this storyline. Or even Hawkeye, we could have tied his show into it. You couldn't get any of these people, not even remotely? I mean, for a cinematic universe that's supposed to be connected in a phase that hasn't really done a good job, I'm not so sure they thought this one through. But of course they didn't, because a lot of the writers and directors have never read the comics. I mean, it was actual news that Ali Salim didn't even know that the Secret Invasion arc existed in the comic. So let's just get all of this straight. You have a story that doesn't feature any of the heroes that it should, and a director and possible overall showrunning team that don't really know the comic storyline. Congratulations, you just essentially lost a part of your audience demographic right from the start. Oh, and by the way, because you mentioned that it directly ties into the Marvels as well as having Samuel L. Jackson all over the trailer, you've basically given away any of the tension that the show might have been able to build because the audience knows that he's in the movie that takes place right after this. Thus, any dangers that Nick Fury will face are almost immediately undercut, simply because we know he's coming back. So now you've lost a subset of people who feel that there's no need to bother watching because in the end, nothing in it will end up mattering. Makes you really appreciate that tension-filled escape scene from DC in Winter Soldier now, doesn't it? Oh, and speaking of audience members who may not care, superhero burnout is an actual thing. If anything, this year is proving it. As it stands, Guardians of the Galaxy and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse may end up being the only superhero movies to cross 500 million in the worldwide box office. And those had specific circumstances working in their favor. Shazam and The Flash, however, didn't just do poorly, they lost money, and it doesn't look good for the Marvels or Aquaman 2 on the horizon. Many people are just tired of superhero movies and shows. They're tired of the bad plots, the bad CGI, and the overt messaging. But this is carried over to the shows, and in fact has been a case for a while with them. Ms. Marvel didn't connect as well, although not for lack of trying. Moon Knight tried a little bit too hard, and She-Hulk was an absolute waste of potential of an amazing character who unfortunately ended up being used as a device to attack fans while having awful CGI to boot. So because of things like that, you have a great deal of people who just refuse to flat out watch any MCU show right now. But you know what the craziest thing about the MCU's version of Secret Invasion is? With competent writing, it still could have been a good show. There are certain points within the show that are actually quite good plot-wise, but a lot of times during the show they're dealt with in such a nonsensical way that you wonder why certain decisions were made in the first place, which actually might explain why the show wasn't well marketed to begin with. While it's true that we first heard about it all the way back in 2020, news about it came in short bursts, and the marketing campaign wasn't nearly as robust as it was for, say, something like Loki or Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It wasn't until much later on when they really started releasing a lot of trailers and promo material, and even then a lot of it was very focused and didn't really talk about the story or anything to look forward to at all. Thus, they never truly ended up warming the audience, to put it into marketing terms, and it ended up being a surprise, it's here moment during a time when people have plenty else to do. And the Marvels might be the subsequent property that ends up suffering the most because of it. But as always, thank you for watching. I'm John Automates. I hope you enjoyed the video and I look forward to seeing you all next time.